All right. Good afternoon, everybody. It is 4:30. It is Wednesday, and that means it's time for office hours. I am Andrew Johnson. If you've not been with us before, unfortunately, I am flying solo today. Johan had an appointment that he could not miss, so it's just me hanging out. Hopefully, we've still got some great questions for those of us joining. For those of us that have not joined us before, we're here to talk about anything Intune, ConfigMgr, Entra, Windows, and all of the technologies in between. But before we get into any Q&A, I'm going to go ahead and share a few things that I came across this week. Let's see here. It's always fun when we switch things up here, and there we go. Figure out normally Johan's in control of the screen sharing, so it's always fun relearning things. All right. So appreciate your patience with me today. First thing I came across, still reading through it, but a blog post that Rudy posted, I just came across it today, on why Intune remote actions are fast at first, but slow the next day. And so we get this question a lot, when Intune can seem slow sometimes. First of all, it's a shared service, but second of all, it's not quite clear always when things are happening in the background. And Rudy does a great job, as always, deep diving why that happens on day one and then after devices have been enrolled. Part of that is because Intune Intune enrolled devices sync a whole bunch, basically, that first 8 hours after they've been enrolled. And that's to make sure that things continue to come down. BitLocker recovery keys get escrowed to the device object, and other things like that happen. Applications come down. And then there's some different schedules that happen after that first 8 hours. So I don't want to spoil all of Rudy's blog post here. Definitely recommend checking it out and reading through this. In addition to, this reminded me of a video that Johan and I have talked about a few times here on Office Hours over the last 5 or 6 months. Was one of our favorites from the Intune technical takeoff earlier this year, back at the beginning of March. There was a video about the Intune fast lane, is what they titled it, and it was around latency and when things happen. So both of these, this video and Rudy's post, fantastic resources just to help you understand what's going on the client. Because it can be complicated and sometimes it's a little confusing. There are times where I would expect something to happen a little bit quicker than it did, or the opposite is also true. So definitely recommend keeping these in your toolbox. Now, also came across, I don't recall if we shared this last week, but John Towles started posting on a migration guide from Workspace 1 to Intune. And John spent a lot of time over on that side, dealing with Workspace 1, working with VMware. And now for the last year or two, John's been focusing on Microsoft Intune. So very cool to see him start to post about this. It looks like this is probably going to be sort of like a series. So this was his introduction to it last week. And then I just happened to notice earlier today, well, I noticed today, but it looks like he posted it 2 days ago, or at least wrote it 2 days ago, that there's a follow-up to this. And yep, it looks like right there, 3-part series. So basically comparing Workspace 1 and Intune. So if you are using Workspace 1 today, you're starting to check this process out if you're going through the migration or you're interested in seeing what that might be or interested in heading towards Intune, recommend popping over to John's blog here and reading through those posts. Also wanted to thank Nathan McNulty here for the reminder. On September 15th, Microsoft is going to start enforcing mandatory MFA for Azure CLI, Azure PowerShell, the mobile app, and additional tools as well. And Nathan put together a conditional access template that you can import into your tenant, and that's going to help you report on what or who, I should say, are actually trying to connect to these applications, so you can see who's going to be affected by this. So thank you, Nathan, for the reminder here, as well as putting together this conditional access template. Now, last but not least, I see there's already a little bit of conversation about it here in the chat, but I wanted to call out Mike O'Leary's blog post here. He had been sort of teasing this for the last week or so I was really excited to see this come out. And basically, it was just a lock screen that Mike's put together to help his users and his techs give some visual indication that devices, especially ones that are going through co-management, are still waiting to enroll into Intune and Entra. With a scheduled task here, you can see sort of the high level what happens before the device is joined to Entra and before it is enrolled into Intune. You'll see that these two icons are not colorful yet, indicating that we're still waiting. And then you could see sort of the devices go through the status here, and eventually the original lock screen is replaced, indicating all done, go ahead and use the computer. So just an absolutely awesome use case here, Mike. Thanks for putting this together. This popped up to the top of my priority list to try out here in my lab over the next couple of days. So fantastic stuff here. I see Zach is pretty excited about it here in the chat as well. Those were the primary things that I wanted to share today. Really some great stuff happening as always in the community. But yeah, looking forward to trying these things out. We'll make sure that all of these links get shared this evening. On that note, if I take a look over here at the chat, I see some familiar faces for sure. Matthew, Amir, hello. Zach and Mike, thank you for joining. Yeah, Zach, you can see I was definitely prepared, or at least trying to prepare to go it alone today. So I was definitely calling out a few good tweets and content that I was finding earlier. Zach just said here in the chat, it's sort of like a pre-office hours as I was retweeting things earlier today. Appreciate you noticing. That's awesome. And yeah, Mike, thanks for joining, and thanks again for this. This is such a simple but useful scenario, I think. Too many times do we as techs get impatient and just start trying to do things a little too quickly. So I'm looking forward to implementing this. All right. Let's see here. Matthew, I see, spent the last 2 days trying to get management point working on one of your servers, fighting with an error, could not create cert binary. Finally got it fixed and about to try to install the management point again. Yeah, certs. It seems like you've been battling certs for a few weeks in various aspects, and just know that you're not alone. Certs, in my experience, are often a battle. In some cases, they've gotten easier over the last few years, but in others, you still really got to fight to get them working properly. And that reminds me too, I think we talked about this previously, but This announcement came out earlier this year. Basically, public certs, their lifetime is going to be reduced down to 47 days over the next couple of years. So I think that will be interesting for most of us in IT. Basically, you can see here what that timeline is going to start looking like. So until March 15th, 2026, maximum timeline is 398 days. That's what we've been working off in recent years. But then after March 15th of next year, we're going to go down to 200 days. Then March 15th of 27 will be 100 days. Then March 15th of 29 will be 47-day lifetime. So if you're not automating certificate renewal in your environments today, recommend starting to work through that sooner rather than later, because I think automation is going to be key here for these lifetimes. All right. Let's see. Get a question here from Matt. Recently we've been getting DO errors with our monthly updates, specifically around the .NET cumulative updates for some reason. Just that one. Working the case with MS, they wanted us to change the DO download mode value from default of 1 to a 2, but I've been very reluctant to do that because they said that meant that then even people on VPN would start peering DO with everyone all over the country. And that sounded horrible. I think in principle I agree with that. So we haven't done that yet. Recently, we got hit with the patching debacle of the monthly OS patch, and one of Microsoft's brief workarounds, after digging into it, seemed to be changing that same DO download mode to a value of 2 as well. We didn't do that, but it really got me to wonder what the heck's going on with this whole DO thing. Wanted to get your thoughts. Matt, I wish Johan was here today, because generally with DO, though I'm definitely familiar with it, how to configure it, how it works and everything, I go to Johan for my DO questions. It is interesting. I think I actually came across, not about DO specifically, but about that patch. Where did that go? There was a workaround, and then a couple of days later, basically a fixed patch was rolled out. Where did that go? So I will share that quick. I think it's this one right here. Oh, no, I don't have the link yet. Let's see, this must be it. But I don't know if they reference that anymore. Yeah, so I think this is the patch that you're probably referencing, Matt. Yeah, so DO, at least where I would start, I'll give you what I can, and I'll actually make a note to see if we can discuss it a little bit further next week. So let me just make a note to myself. All right. So where I would start basically is here. So these are some recommendations that Johan wrote a few years ago on the Two Pint blog on how to sort of like a baseline for delivery optimization. And as you can see, these are his sort of starter settings. You may have these already, so apologies if you've already seen this previously, but would start here. This is going to make it a little bit more effective than it is out of the gate. I did see Mike Terrell joining. Thank you, Mike. I trust you also fully with DO. And Mike says DO download mode 2 is for group, which is good, but you need a way to split up your locations based on different group IDs. So I'll just pop this here in the stream too. All right. Perfect. I'll make sure to get this link posted later, Matt. But if you want to take a look at it now, I've got it up here. I think there is. Let's see. And maybe that's the only one. And then Mike also shared this link as well as another good reference. So Matt, hoping my boundary groups in SCCM would handle the group IDs on their own. And yes, Dan followed up here too. I agree. Boundary group should handle it automatically using a value of 2. Tricky part is setting group IDs and then having mobile clients like laptops dynamically change that group ID. Yep. So just trying to repeat some of the great conversation here that's going on in the chat. It's good to have help on this stuff. Let's see. Don't know if it has. Yeah, nothing about VPN specifically. But Johan did write a post a few years back. Basically, exactly what Mike said here in the chat. Be careful with boundary groups in ConfigMgr. Make sure you don't have any overlapping boundaries, as that's going to leave you with a mess. Otherwise, they should be okay. And that's pretty much exactly what Johan's saying here as well. Keep your boundaries simple. Make sure you don't have overlapping groups, and your client should be a member of only one boundary group. Perfect TLDR right there. So hopefully these resources, Matt, I'll share those this evening, and hopefully those help you out. See this comment from Zach here. Speaking of patching, did my first round of hot patch testing this month, and it was as advertised. Would be cool if security products approved sooner, so my test group could reap the benefit. But very cool, awesome. Very happy to hear that. Haven't done any rounds myself yet, so happy to hear that. Basically, working as designed, right? Um, Very cool. Yep, Mike. I'll repeat Mike's shameless plug here. This is something with DO that 2pints Stifler agent excels at. Something that you maybe want to check out. And then Sarah's asking on the boundary group IDs, what about always on VPN? Is that a non-issue? Actually, Mike, if you're still here, I don't know if you could answer that one. If always on VPN makes a difference at all. And Matt, you're right. There is a PowerShell script to help identify overlapping boundary groups. Let me see if I can find that. Let's see. Here's one that Trevor Jones put together. Will report on overlapping boundaries. So this would be something to check out. Let's see if there was another one here. Boundary. Yeah, maybe give this report a try, Matt. And that's awesome. I see your follow up here. Have a POC signed off for 2pint. That's awesome. Okay, here we go. Thank you, Mike, for sharing. You'd want to set always on VPN to a different DO mode. DO is supposed to detect VPN, but it doesn't always. All right. What else? Great stuff around DO. Quite a bit, actually. A few new links to share. Any other questions out there? Still got quite a bit of time hanging out today. And while I definitely don't have all the answers, I sure as heck can try to find some. Pretty okay at that usually. Or fortunate enough to just have all of you joining that actually have answers for others. Any other questions? I don't know if everyone's like me right now. I've got family going back to school. I've got kids going back to school. Wife going back to school. Mike, if you're still in here, Michael Leary, at least, I'm sure you're dealing with back to school right now. And it is a busy, busy time, that's for sure. Part of the reason I was so excited for that solution you blogged about earlier today. This might be one of my favorite messages that I've shared on here before. Send help. Yep, it's happening. Mike, I did mention. Actually, I think Matt brought it up first. There was the rollback for this patch, and then I believe the re-released patch. Was there something else that maybe I missed? I know that this one was causing some pretty. Yeah. Okay. No worries. No. All good. So yeah, I think this should be fixed out in the wild now. I did see some conversation around some back and forth on some Dell docs in one organization, but maybe they were having issues, maybe others weren't. This seemed to be the big one for August. But thank you for bringing that up. All right. Well, I think everyone's letting me off pretty easy today. Oh, Mike's got something else for me to share. Let me sec. The chat here doesn't allow me to copy links too easily. But that's okay because I can pop this one up right here. Thanks, Mike, for sharing this. Let's see. Microsoft fixing SSD failures caused by Windows updates. Oh. No, I think I missed this one. So some updates were causing data corruption. That's like the baseline of the one thing that you do not want to have happen, right? And failures for some SSDs and hard disks. Some of the impacted drives were restored after restarting the system, and the rest remain inaccessible even after a reboot. So Microsoft's working on a fix there. Okay. Nope, great call out. I had not seen this one, Mike. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. Usually get one reason per month to not upgrade to 24H2 and 2 for 1 in August. Absolutely. It's been a weird year for this most recent feature update for Windows 11. Weird. All right. Any other questions? Or other links to share? Well, if not, I'm not seeing any. Like I said, let me off pretty easy today, which I'll take, but I do sincerely appreciate all of the great conversation here in the chat. Next week, we should be back to our regularly scheduled program. It should be both Johan and I. If there's anything else in the meantime, hope to see you all online. Thank you all for joining today. Let me go back to this right here. All right, and I hope the rest of you have. Thank you, both Mikes, for joining. Thanks, Zach, for also putting in some comments here, and everybody for providing some additional info. I hope all of you have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next week. Thanks.